The celebration of Christmas in the Philippines is widely known for its colorful and unique traditions. In welcoming the most wonderful season, the lantern or parol serves as Filipinos' iconic symbol and greatest expression, for it represents the Star of Bethlehem that led the wise men to the newborn child Jesus. That same star is also the inspiration of the people of San Fernando, Pampanga, whose creative hands and colorful ideas turned this glorious star into twinkling, sparkling giants, giving birth to the Giant Lantern Festival. Back in the 16th century, the Augustinian friars introduced the practice of procession of saints. People started the tradition called Lubenas, a parade of lights where people of the community bring lanterns before going to church for Misa de Gallo. The first recorded giant lantern maker was Francisco Estanislao of Barangay Santa Lucia. In 1908, he officially introduced giant lantern making in San Fernando with the use of bamboo and cocoa cloth. On December 26, 1909, the earliest photo of a Christmas lantern illuminating a street in San Fernando was captured. Later, in 1927, Severino David introduced the kalakate, a steel rod attached to a paper cover pad which enabled the lanterns to be connected to electricity supplied by the San Fernando Electric Light and Power Company, or ISPELACO. Written accounts in the 1930s first mentioned the Giant Lantern Festival in San Fernando. Battery-operated lanterns came in the 1940s, and molding of steel wire was introduced in the 1950s. The dawn of the 60s gave birth to the commercial lantern industry when San Fernando lanterns became available for sale to the public. In fact, a giant lantern was featured on the cover of the magazine Eso Silangan in 1966. But because of martial law, festival competition was cancelled in 1978 to 1979. But during the psychedelic decade of the 80s, the tradition was revived, with rules, regulations, and awards formalized under the leadership of the mayors during that time. Barangay Santa Lucia won in 1982. But Barangay del Pilar became the strongest contender as it maintained the winning title from 1983 to 1991. The competition venue was transferred to Bascuhan Village. More exposure was given to the Parol San Fernando as it was exhibited in Seville, Spain, Hollywood Christmas Parade, and Rizal Park. In 1995, Barangay Malpitic's entry outshined all other contenders after being hailed as a champion. Later in 2002, a lantern that stands 105 feet was crafted in an attempt to be enlisted in the Guinness Book of World Records. San Fernando lanterns started to capture hearts abroad when the Philippine Consulate General in Honolulu, Hawaii presented these Fernandino prides during their first Lantern Festival in 2012. One giant lantern also proudly stood as the main attraction for the Paskong Pinoy held in Singapore on the same year. In 2016, the Asian Civilizations Museum in Singapore illuminated during its Love, Light and Living Festival with the display of a 4-meter lantern dubbed as the biggest fiberglass Kapampangan lantern outside the Philippines. A Fernandino crafted lantern was manufactured and used for the nationwide simultaneous ceremonial lighting of lanterns in 72 key cities in the Philippines in commemoration of the golden anniversary of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, in 2017. Last year, a 16-feet traditional giant lantern, intricately made by our very own Arvin Kiwa, has made wave in the international scene as it represented the country in the Jerusalem Festival of Lights hosted in Israel. In coordination with Philippine embassies and consulates, San Fernando lanterns continuously travel and bring colorful lights to different countries such as Switzerland, USA, Brazil, Kenya, Italy, China, Australia, Pakistan, Iraq, United Kingdom, Ireland, and Lebanon. And with the active collaboration of leaders who value the preservation of history and culture, the annual Giant Lantern Festival, celebrating 111 years of giant lantern making, continues to sparkle, with more competing giant lanterns. Bigger, brighter, and grander. These lanterns are Fernandino's pride and also signifies shared hope, faith, and love not only in the Philippines but in the global community. Let these magical lights continue to add brilliance to the season and keep shining on.